Now, let's head back to, of course, the story that we've been following throughout the day, and that is all the reaction to the death of Pope Francis on this special edition of News Breakfast. We are now joined by the head of the Catholic Church in Australia, the Reverend Timothy Costelloe, the Archbishop of Perth. Archbishop, good morning.
Good morning, James.
Can I just get your reaction, first of all, to the death of Pope Francis and what he meant to you and also the Catholics in Australia?
Sure, yes. Well, my first reaction when I heard the news was, in a sense, was shock, not because it wasn't unexpected, but because I think we were all hoping, particularly after the Pope appeared in St Peter's on Sunday, that perhaps he'd turned a corner and was on the road to recovery. So it was a shock, but as I say, not really a surprise. Many people, I think, Catholics certainly here in Perth and across Australia, have been great supporters of Pope Francis and have admired him for all the different things that he's brought to the life of the Church. But that's true all around the world, I think. So I think there's a real sense of sadness, but also a sense of sort of joy in a way that he should die on Easter Monday, the day after the resurrection of the Lord. And so now he's experiencing what we celebrate every Easter, but he's experiencing it now in his own new life with the Lord. So it's a mixture of sadness, but also a deep sense of joy and peace. I just wanted to go to his legacy. What do you think his legacy will be? He has focused a lot on different parts of the world, particularly growing the Catholic faith in places like Africa and Asia. Yes. I think his legacy really is going to be very multifaceted. You're right, the Church in some parts of the world is growing, in other parts of the world it's shrinking, but it's certainly a very significant time in the life of the Church.
I just was curious to get your thoughts on the way that the Church has changed under Pope Francis and the way it has tried to expand into different parts of the world.
Yes. Well, as I say, I think that's part of the legacy of the Pope, and he has had an enormous influence on the life of the Church. I think one of the strongest parts of the legacy that he leaves us is that he's invited the Church, two things I'd say really. One is that he's invited the Church to rethink the way we exercise leadership in the Church. So for those of us who have the role of leadership in the Church in any way at all, he's calling us to a more simple, a more approachable, a more down-to-earth approach to our leadership and to a much more collaborative style of leadership. And I think that's tied to the second thing, which is going to be part of his legacy, and that is his invitation to the whole Church to understand that in the Christian community, in a Christian church, everybody is equal. We're all equally disciples of Jesus. We're all equally made in the image of God. And so we need to listen to each other, take each other seriously, be understanding of each other, welcoming of each other. It's this kind of approach that he has not just spoken about, but put into practice that I think will be one of his very important legacies and one of the reasons why in so many parts of the world the Church is growing. There's a sign of new life for many people.
What does this mean personally for you? Do you travel to Rome or do you change what your schedule is going to be for the next week as your parishioners, people come in and try, pray, pay tribute to the Pope?
Yes. Well, certainly here in Perth, but right across the country, today will be a day of prayer. I think every parish and every cathedral, I'm sure, will be having special masses, special services for the Pope, and that's certainly true also over here in Perth. I am looking at the possibility of travelling to Rome to represent the bishops at the funeral. We don't quite know when the funeral will be, but it will be within the next 4 to 6 days, people are telling me. So as the president of the Bishops' Conference, I'll go, if I can, to represent the bishops at the funeral. So yes, the schedule is changing, but this is an historic moment and we need to be prepared to respond as best we can.
I just want to ask you a question. I'm not sure you'll have a clearly defined answer. Maybe you need to consult on it. But obviously this falls in the middle of an election campaign. There's a number of Catholics, of course, in Australia. A lot of people in Australia are not Catholics as well. Should campaigning be interrupted or paused?
Well, I just think I heard on the news that the campaigning is sort of taking a more low-key style for part of today as our political leaders respond to the news of the death of the Pope. But, you know, life has to go on. I hope that doesn't sound trite or trivial, but the election is a very important thing for us here in Australia. And I think that the election campaign should continue. But I'm grateful that our political leaders have had the sensitivity to just pause for a moment, acknowledge the importance of the Pope and give us all time for reflection.